So far, we've introduced you to the key components of personal finance, talked about the history of America's great love affair with debt, defined what a normal American family looks like, and told you that anyone, yes, even you, can build wealth. Because remember, winning with money takes only 20% head knowledge. The rest is behavior. Now let's dive into both of those aspects so you're 100% equipped to manage your money. We'll start with speaking the language of money and end with your money personality.
There is definitely a language to money. Understanding that language is important. Just like in sports, knowing the language helps you understand what's going on in the game. In baseball, a home run is a great thing. A strikeout is not. In tennis, an ace is a great thing. A service fault is not. And in football, a touchdown is a great thing. A holding penalty is not. Now, what happens if you try to play or even watch a game, but you don't know the terminology or language? It's going to be hard to get involved in the game. It's the same with money. You need to learn the basic language. Words like interest, debt, mutual funds. Those are all words you need to know if you're going to manage money successfully. And it's your money. Learning these terms will help you stay in control. The more you understand the language, the better off you'll be.
Knowing the language allows you to participate in the game. And if you really put what you learn into practice, you can tell your money what to do. That means deciding where your money is going before you get your next paycheck, aka a budget. It's also about talking with bankers, financial planners, and insurance agents, people who provide money services in order for you to build wealth. As you go through this course, pay attention to the vocabulary. Don't just memorize the terms, but really seek to understand the meaning behind them. As you become the expert of your money, you'll not only get yourself in the game, but you'll be guaranteed to win.
I want to tell you a couple of stories about how debt has gotten in the way of people pursuing their dreams and their passions. The first one was a young man that I'd worked with, and while he was in school, he loved photography. He had studied the art, he had studied the craft, and there was an opportunity that had come up out on the West Coast for him to take his dream job. The problem was that job wasn't going to pay enough. It wasn't going to pay enough for him to take care of his credit card payments and his car loan. See, while he was in school, he never thought about that. He never thought that taking on that debt would one day prevent him from pursuing his dream job. It didn't pay enough. And so now as he looks back on it, he was frustrated and irritated, and he wished he could go back and tell himself not to take on that debt. The debt got in the way of him pursuing his dream. The next story I want to tell you about is a young married couple. They'd been married about 2 years. They had a young baby. And now they were beginning to just pursue things normally. But the problem was that the debt, the new baby, was all causing stress in their marriage. They're having money fights all the time. Every day was an argument about this or argument about that, and it all stemmed from the debt. See, they had over $10,000 in credit card debt, 2 new car payments, and they were stressed. I mean, a lot. Wasn't really sure if this marriage was going to make it. As I began to talk with them and begin to help them lay out a plan, they had to get focused. They had to get serious. Something had to change. So they began to talk about money. They laid out a budget. It wasn't easy, but they talked and they worked on it and they got better. See, they began to look at what they could do and they sacrificed. They sold one of the cars and got rid of the car payment. Then they got focused on finding things that they could sell to try to attack the credit card debt. Once they began to work together, things began to change. Things changed in their marriage. They now talked about money instead of arguing about money. And that stress was beginning to leave them. It took them a couple years, but they got on the same page and they're working a plan. The key to these stories is I don't want debt to bring you stress or prevent you from pursuing your dream. I want you to have options, and debt prevents those options.
You don't have to be a financial or accounting genius to win with money. Financial success isn't reserved just for the select few who actually enjoy running spreadsheets and amortization tables. But you do need what we call money smarts. That means you need a basic understanding of some key principles. First, you need to be comfortable with basic math, and that's the easy part. It's 6th grade math. If you can add, subtract, multiply, and divide, then you're going to be okay. Second, you need to start understanding the language of money. And this can seem a little bit intimidating, but don't let it freak you out. You know, I can't stand it when some financial goober is looking down their nose at regular people trying to impress them or intimidate them with big words. There's no point in that. But that doesn't mean you should just ignore some simple financial concepts. We're going to talk about things like diversification and liquidity and compound interest in this class. And the words may make your eyes glaze over, but the concepts, they're really pretty simple. Besides, you should always have a good team of professionals helping you to understand things that you don't know what they are. There's no shame in that. I do that. Third, and this is the hardest part, you need to learn how to manage your money behavior. Your behavior with money is everything. You're going to hear us talk a lot about that all through this class. And I learned a long time ago, remember, the only person responsible for my success, my failure, is the guy in my mirror. Bottom line, anyone can win with money. You just have to be intentional and do the details. That is what this class is all about.
Manage wealth, debt, saving,
bills,
security,
spending, wealth.
happy.
Winning with money isn't just about understanding how it works. It's about putting your heart into it. That's the 80% behavior factor we talked about earlier. After all, cash can't walk itself to the bank and jump into your savings account. Money is just a tool, one that you use as you see fit. It's like a hammer. Unless you pick it up and swing it, it won't ever hit the nail. If you hold on to the money, then it's up to you to tell it where it goes. So the best way to manage money is to learn how to manage you. To do that, you've got to know your natural instincts when it comes to money. Are you more likely to save or to spend? Do you approach money management with a carefree attitude, or are you more precise? Once you know your money personality, you can develop a plan just for you. And don't worry, having a plan isn't about restriction. It's about getting some of the things you want and making sure you can also pay for the things you need. Understanding your money personality also means facing your strengths and weaknesses when it comes to money. And hey, we all have them. Let's be honest, I love a good clothing sale. It's in recognizing who you are that you have the opportunity to learn and grow. So I encourage you throughout this course to constantly consider your money personality. How can you take what we teach and use it to better yourself?
Teaching America to do something Congress can't do. Live on less than you make. You're listening to The Dave Ramsey Show. Thank you for joining us, America. Up next is Topeka, Kansas. Jack is calling in. Hey, Jack, how are you, man?
Hi, Dave. I'm just learning to do a budget, and I'm kind of scared that I won't be able to go out and spend my money with my friends. How do I balance fun with being responsible?
Well, if you're a financially responsible teen, you will include fun in your budget, because you would be like a weird person if you don't ever have fun. You'd particularly be a weird teenager. And we're not teaching you to be, become strange. We don't want strange Jack in Topeka, Kansas. We want fun Jack in Topeka, Kansas. So what you have to do is you have to budget that. But also being responsible with money and not spending it all on fun is called being a grown-up, dude. And I talk to 57-year-olds and 17-year-olds who can't seem to balance that out. So the exercise of budget is not something to be scared about. It's an opportunity for you to prove you're growing up. It's an opportunity for you to prove you're moving into manhood, or for ladies that are listening, into womanhood. And it's saying, I'm going to control the person in my mirror by writing it down and having a plan. And my plan includes being responsible and having some fun. And by the way, I'm in charge of my plan, so I get to decide these things. So you're in charge of your budget. There's no reason to be afraid of it. But it is going to challenge you, because you don't want to be a child and spend all your money on candy. you also need to eat vegetables. And that's what the budget's about. Be responsible and have dessert in there too. Mix them up, but remember, you're in charge. I like your question, Jack, particularly coming from a high school student, dude. That's very bright that you're already grappling with this. That really means you're going to have a great future if you win the battle of the guy in your mirror. Hey, thanks for calling in. This is the Dave Ramsey Show.
One day you'll have a full-time job and get a regular paycheck. You'll have bills to pay and things you want to do. If you manage your money well, you'll have lots of it. Money will be a tool you can use to bless your family, give to others, and have a lot of fun. The opposite is true too. If you don't take money seriously, it'll slip through your fingers. You'll be broke and stressed about paying the bills and saving for your future. I'm not trying to scare you, I'm trying to prepare you. See, you don't have a choice when it comes to handling money. You're going to have to handle money at some point in your life. So you can be really great at it, or you can be horrible at it. Now's the time. Decide to take this class seriously. I promise it'll help you succeed.
Before my wife and I read a single book by Dave Ramsey, we sat down, we had a conversation, a heart-to-heart, if you will. And we looked at each other and we said this: before we read anything by this guy, Dave Ramsey, we better buy a lot of fun stuff. We went on a pre-Dave Ramsey shopping spree because we were afraid that as soon as we read the book, page 1 was going to be never buy anything fun again. We were like somebody starting a diet on Monday who goes to a buffet the day before, because we were afraid of the expectation of Dave. We were afraid that he was going to say, hey, you need to sell your car and get a burro. You need to ride to school on a donkey. And it's a 3-hour ride, and it's a really difficult donkey, and you're going to smell like a barn, but that's what you have to do if you want to be smart with your money. But then we opened the books, and we started to read. Then we started to watch classes much like this one, and we realized that's not what he says at all. That's not what Rachel says. Being smart doesn't mean being cheap. Being smart doesn't mean riding a donkey to work or school. And we learned that there's a big difference between those things. And the reality is Dave and Rachel, they'd love if you had a nice car. They'd love if you had a nice house and a nice college education. But more than that, they'd love if all those things were paid for. They want you in that car. They do. They want it to be nice and have heated seats and a lot of cup holders. But above that, they want it to be paid for. They don't want there to be a loan attached to that anchor on you as you drive that car. Being smart with your money doesn't mean you're cheap with your money. It means you're smart. And so maybe for you that does mean selling a car or doing something that's a little difficult at first. But in the long run, you get to live like no one else. And I promise there's not a single donkey involved in that.